because we might be here on titles. He is the vice chair of the Maneca Unified School District Education Board of Trustees, maybe
Yes,
something
ma'am.
like that, something like that. He is also the president of the Weston Ranch Junior Cougars and the Weston Ranch AAU basketball team. He also is currently an educator and has been for quite some time. Ladies and gentlemen, y'all know me. I don't talk ages. No, we don't do that. We just will say for quite some time. So, the wealth of knowledge is in the building. And today we are talking about the state of our youth. This is a huge topic in our community.
Yes.
Last week I was talking to someone and we were talking about the youth and we were talking about activities for our youth and so I started talking about, yeah, do y'all remember when we had hammer skate and
Right.
golf land and the water slides, and people were like, what, you guys had all that? Like, there's nothing besides the sports, because I think we have a lot of youth teams,
Right.
but there's more that we can do as a city, and I think that we need to commit to dedicating more for our youth. So, Mr. Eric Duncan's in the building. We're going to be talking about school. We're going to be talking about trauma in school. We're going to be talking about sports. And most importantly, we're going to be talking about balancing. Right. Balancing between being a professional, an advocate, a leader, and most importantly, a mentor to our kids,
Yes.
which I'm really grateful for that, for you. I know, or of you. I know that, like, my experience of, being a single mom in the community, it's hard to get people who have time for the kids.
Yes.
And so we always have to pay homage and respect to people who take time out of their already busy schedule
Yes.
to give back. So,
Yes. Well,
Mr.
thank
Duncan, Mr. Eric Duncan, where do you want to start?
Well, first, thank you for the introduction, Kim.
No problem.
Oh,
See,
yes.
I told you that was about 5 minutes.
Like I said, I know there's a lot of title, but my main title is just being a mentor to young people.
Right.
That's the title that really is most important to me. My day consists of 24 hours a day. I'm dealing with kids, whether it's
Yes.
the kids in our community, and then I come home for the last few hours of the night to deal with my own.
Right.
So yeah, so I mean, that's been my life. I had a lot of mentors, when I was growing up at adolescence in the streets of Oakland that really did the same thing that, for me that I'm doing for a lot of young people today. So this is just my way of giving back to those coaches like Ted Sanders and Frank Love out in Oakland that really kept me, active and engaged as a young adolescent. So, and I know how beneficial it is when you have, good mentors in your life that's really, going the extra mile to make sure that
Right.
you're successful. So, just knowing that importance, that really fuels me to do what I do.
Absolutely. And just because we're neighbors and we're in the same community, it's very inspiring and encouraging, because it's like, you got football season, which ends in a couple weeks.
Yes.
And then you jump right into the AAU, which is a traveling basketball team, and you keep going and rotating, and that's commitment and time. So
Yes.
again, great aspect to look at it at in a what goes around comes around. So
Right.
you always want to do good, ladies and gentlemen, to get good. So we
Yes.
really appreciate that. So tell us what to expect with youth services in terms of, like, the little league, because Junior Cougars has not always done basketball, right?
We haven't done it to the scale that we're heading to at this point. Myself and then Roberto Marquez, who's also administrator within our organization.
Yeah.
He helps out by running the park and rec portion of our basketball, and
Yes.
that's just so that we want to be able to incorporate kids at every level. So
I think I met him before.
yeah, so he's actually a SUSD police officer as well. So he
Okay.
works with the kids as well during the day as a district police officer, and so he runs the park and rec from 1st to 8th grade. So we want to make sure we get all our kids engaged. And then myself and my son Eric Jr. we run the AAU aspect of it. So the kids that kind of outgrow the park and rec part of the basketball and they want to kind of get to the more advanced stage,
Right.
we take them to that advanced stage. So it gives us a chance to really touch on every kid, and and really incorporate every kid that really wants to play basketball and sports for that matter. So
Absolutely. What would you say are some of the struggles in incorporating sports in communities throughout the city? Like, what are some of the biggest barriers to ensuring that we're reaching every youth?
well, I mean it's a couple, but I mean obviously one of the biggest ones is funding.
Yes.
And like I said, we live in an area where there's a lot of families that need support. So myself, and I have 14 members on my board that really helps me,
Whoa.
get out and make a lot of the things happen. So
That's a big board.
yeah. I mean, in this it consists of community members, the parents in our communities that like me, that's really dedicated to ensuring that their kid has a quality program. So when I get those parents to come join in, I incorporate them to the fullest extent. So I mean, so that really helps us, as far as getting business done. So myself and along with them, we do a lot of fundraising up front. We go out and solicit, donors and all kind of donations. The Western Ranch Small Business Group, they actually support us with a scholarship program as well, where they will pay part of our kids' tuition. So I've been working in close with them. They've actually taken in, I want to say 9 or 10 kids for football.
That's a lot.
Yes, and they help pay part of their tuition, and the other part we do fundraising and things like that to support our kids. So what the Junior Cougars is really set out to do is really to incorporate any kid that wants activity. So I mean, if they come in with nothing, no money, no type of equipment, we want to ensure that we get them everything to be successful. So,
And that's really important. I think that, especially with the way that the economy is now,
yes.
I think that more money is going out for bills and probably is coming in.
Yes.
And so, not to mention utilities and that gas is like
Everything's sky high.
everything is sky high. And so, with families who have a multitude of kids, 2 or 3 kids, and you're looking for sports, that's a hardship. That's a huge hardship.
Yes, it is.
So I just really want to take an opportunity to give, inspiration and encouragement to anyone who's viewing and or listening, that if you would like to sponsor a kid or donate, please do so.
Yes.
Because our youth, they're our future, and we have to invest in them. We
Yes.
do, and I think kids need to feel safe and loved. And another element that I like, because one of the, I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you. I remember I had a kid, and I'm not gonna say the kid's name, of course. And the kid currently plays on your team. And so kid was like off the hook every day. And the mom would call me. He did this, he did that. I said, send him over there with Eric. Send him over there. I said, because people don't realize when kids have a lot of energy,
Right.
you're burning off on the field.
Exactly.
When kids have a lot of aggression, take it out on the fields. And I remember telling the kid, I said, that's the only time you can be aggressive is
Right.
when you're on the field.
Exactly.
When you're not on the field, you can't be aggressive. So he said, oh, what? Okay. When I tackle the person, I can run after the ball. I'm like, yes, you can do all that. And within a matter of maybe 3 weeks, no more calls from school.
Right.
Because guess what? All that energy on the field.
Displaced it.
Tearing it up. I
Yeah.
said, so and so, what do you play on the Cougars? I play he told me he played offense, defense, linebacker. Like, he told me all the positions. I was like,
yeah.
boom. I said, there you go, Mom. I said,
That's
he's
what it's about.
learning.
Yep.
Give these kids an incentive to feel like they have a place and a sense of belonging. And I think that sometimes we don't think about that.
Exactly.
We think about the punitive and, the kid did this or the kid did that. I always tell parents, never take the sports away.
Never.
Because it regulates them. It
Right.
regulates all that energy and that aggression, and we need that.
Right. And I think a lot of the parents, they kind of get ran off because they're thinking about how much it's going to cost.
Yes.
And that's why we really try to get out in front and let them know that, none of our coaches get paid to do any of this.
Right.
My son and I, we do the AAU, and you got other AAU clubs that coaches get paid $1,500 a month. They pay for their travel fees.
Oh.
They do all this type of stuff. But when you get those type of programs, that extra cost falls on the parents. So and that's why I've always kind of absorbed a lot of that. I pay for my own kid to play. We fundraise for other kids to play. I have local principals in Western Ranch that donate money to sponsor kids every year. So I try to tap every resource possible to
Right.
try to pull kids along.
Yeah, I think that is also a huge discouragement for people to ask.
Right.
That's like the number one thing for not just women or just persons of this ethnicity or this subgroup. I think asking is like the biggest struggle
Right.
that people have, but it's really good to know that people are paying back and people are understanding that these youth services are what we need. It's an intervention.
Right. That's all it is.
It's
That's
a real
all it
big
is.
intervention, and I think also the gratification
Yes.
and the confidence that we instill in our kids, huge.
Yes, and that's what fuels me is, I've been doing it for a while. I got two older boys. One of them out of college and one other one's in college. But a lot of those kids that came along with my kids and some of the kids I've coached, at Chavez High School and Kennedy High School in Richmond, back in the 90s. I see them now, and or they reach out to me on social media and just speak
Yeah.
on all the how gratified they are as some of the things I've done for them and things like that. So that definitely keeps you motivated to keep helping kids. So.
Absolutely, because that's probably better than a check to know that
Way
you
better.
that you have curved someone's life
Yes.
in essence, and the things that you instill. I always tell my families that I work with and individuals that I see that we plant seeds,
Yes.
and you never know when those seeds are gonna bloom,
Mhm.
but we plant them, and
Right.
so that is something that you can never ever take away from a kid.
Right.
I remember when my son Nika was playing for the baseball team in Western Ranch, so Western Ranch Little League, and so he didn't know how to hit a ball. Obviously, I couldn't teach him.
Right.
I can teach you a lot, but I just can't teach you how to hit a ball. And I met a coach. I forgot his name, but he took time. He told Nico, come every 30 minutes before practice, and I'll help
Work
you.
with you good.
Tell you what, that's one of my son's favorite sports now is baseball. And he talks about, do you remember that one coach that helped me learn how to hit? And I think that was like 4 or 5 years ago, but
Right.
they never forget.
Never forget.
It's like a jewel,
Yep.
like protecting our kids. And I think that I would love to see this conversation go further throughout the city on how to intervene and get parents more involved, getting their kids more involved in sports, and having some type of outlet
Yes.
to support them. Like, how do we make this something that's universal? Maybe not even just Stockton, maybe throughout the state. I don't know.
Right.
Because it's important. How many kids could not afford it? I know when I grew up, when I was young, I always wanted to do the Little League cheerleading, but my mom could never afford it, so we
Right.
didn't do it.
Yeah.
And that was kind of discouraging, but maybe that's why I was always into the books. Like, you
Yes.
can't cheerlead, but you better go
And
read
that-
the book.
And the cheering is quite expensive, so we
Yes.
really our cheer fees is really it's bottom of the barrel as far as we're the cheapest anywhere around, and because their cheer uniforms and all that stuff costs so much, so we try to absorb the tuition part. We don't really charge them much of tuition, just so they can be able to use any of that extra money towards their uniforms and other things like that. So
Yeah, because you got to think about that too. I know now I did so, parenting through guilt, the lenses of guilt.
right.
So because I didn't do cheer, my daughter did cheer. She did it for years, and it is expensive.
Yes.
And on top of the gear, you got, kids at they want hot dogs, they want nachos,
Oh,
they
yeah,
want
they-
it's like it's an investment.
every Saturday. Right?
Every Saturday, boy. I don't miss those days. I really don't. But it's really good to hear about the positive energy in the community with our kids, and seeing them. Everyone looks happy, and they're out there doing what they need to do. So we appreciate you for that.
Thanks.
So let's talk about the next youth services. So I told you this man is like into youth and services and giving back. Now this one I'm really excited to hear about. So I'm going to allow you to kind of set the foundation of what's being done and where we are with ... Boys and Girls Club.
All right.
You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's go.
Okay. So the Western Ranch Boys and Girls Club is something that I've been working on since I actually got in office. It was one of my, I guess, campaign promises when I got in, is that I wanted to make sure we try to establish a community-based organization for our kids to have somewhere to go when the schools are closed now.
Yes.
So I'm happy to say that we're at the point to where we're fundraising. Finally, we've got the okay to start fundraising.
Mm-hmm. That's exciting.
Yes, it is. It is. And what we've done, we've established the Western Ranch Youth Foundation, which is a nonprofit organization that's going to be responsible for raising a bulk of the funds to get this project off the ground. And that foundation consists of a lot of community members. Craig Ward is the president, and Martin Cisneros, who's a local clergy, and does a lot of great things for our community, along with the trunk or treat and all kind of other stuff. He's our fundraising coordinator, and I'm teaming with him to try to find every avenue we can to try to raise some funds. So if there's anybody out there listening that has access or wants to join in that effort, feel free to drop me a line and we'll get you in there. But right now we're at the right at the brink of it. We're just getting started. The great thing about this project is that the facilities is already in place thanks to Maneca Unified School District. So,
and that's huge.
Yes, yes. So they donated 4 big classrooms, the gymnasium, and the big practice. The big fields is 2 baseball fields, and the field that kind of joins New Vision and Western Ranch High School. So that field will be allocated to the community as well.
Huge.
And yes,
that's
yes.
huge.
So and along with that, Maneca Unified also is going to supply transportation. So they'll pick up the students from the 3 K8s that resides in Western Ranch and drop them off at the Boys and Girls Club facility at New Vision. So
that's Kamari, August Knott,
and Great Valley.
Yeah, wow.
So it'll do a wraparound, and we're trying to include French Camp into that as well, because French Camp school will be kind of incorporated into this project, and we will be reaching out to those kids to get them someplace to go as well.
And that is very huge.
Yes.
Because that French Camp area is so disinvested with programming and services. So that is excellent. I'm really looking forward. I know that this has been a long time in the making.
It has.
But again, nothing is ever going to be possible unless we have the support of the community to make it thrive.
Right.
And so that, supporting and doing anything and everything that you can to make sure that as constituents and people who live, not only if you just specifically live in Western Ranch, but hey, you live in Stockton. It's still...
we really want to reach out to the entire city. I know District 6 is like our more immediate residents, but Hey, I know it's not a lot going on in Stockton, period. And I know that in Stockton Unified, hey, you get to catch the bus for free if you got an
Oh,
ID.
yeah, you sure
So if you live
do.
on the north side and there's nothing to do and you want to come out to Western Ranch to the Boys and Girls Club,
Yeah,
I say hop on the bus and you're
that's
very
right.
welcome.
That's
And I,
right.
like I said, I teach in Stockton, so I teach at Chavez High School in Stockton. So I have a vested interest in all the youth in Stockton, not just Western Ranch per se, but that's where I reside as far as my home. So
Right.
that's why I do a lot over in that area. But like I said, I'm open to helping all the youth in Stockton.
And with that being said, I think that oftentimes as well, the area that's just over the levee,
Hmm.
they are in need of youth services and support as well. And so there we go again with collaborative opportunities to add to
Right.
what's already being implemented.
We've really kind of bridged that gap with the community on this other side of the levee.
Right.
But
It's yeah. That's
yeah,
that's
my
been a long
son
time
actually, my
coming.
son works at Van Buskirk now, so
Hmm.
he's really been networking with a lot of those kids and those families, and
Right on.
we have quite a few. You'll be surprised that come over the other side to the levee to participate in football, basketball. So
Absolutely.
they're really starting to come over to that other side, and
Yeah.
we're really trying to welcome them as well. So
And again, seeing this project is something that is beneficial for the entire city,
yes,
especially getting on the bus for free. I wish I could get a guy on the
man.
bus for free at any given time, 7 days a week. It's not even excluded to weekdays. You
No,
could even use it on the weekends
exactly.
as well. So
That's a big resource. That's
it's a
big time.
huge one.
Yes.
So I'm really excited of the direction that this will bring, the stages that will be generated with
Yes.
this resource that's going to be beneficial to the entire community.
Hmm.
So if you had a magic wand and you could make anything else happen in the community, what would it be in line? Specifically to our youth or for our youth.
If I could wave a magic wand, I would really do something on a larger scale as far as the city's concerned. And I know we were talking, before we got on the air about some of the things we had back in the day in Stockton,
Yeah.
like the skating rink and things like that. But if I could wave a magic wand, I would really do something like a big water slide or
Yeah.
some type of family fun center that like we used to have back in the day over on
Yeah, I
Hammer.
forgot what it was called. Oh, Golfland.
Golf
Yeah,
land.
Golfland. The water
I
slide.
would really want to do something like that on a large scale. I mean, and I know that's something that the planning commission and some of the other commissions been talking around the bond that Stockton has, and what are
Yeah.
we going to do with it. But I just feel like if I had a magic wand, I mean, that's where I would start. I mean, maybe it doesn't have to be a water slide, but I'm just thinking something large scale where the kids can go and have fun. And
Right.
that's my main
And
my main
expanding that,
wish.
yeah, expanding that conversation because I was just thinking about it. One of the things that many of my youth that I've worked with are really interested in is music and coding.
Oh
And
yeah.
I know that Sierra Vista has a program and Conway has a program, but technology is like the wave of everything,
Right.
right?
Hmm.
And so currently, I just think I don't even know if you've heard about it. Podesto has like a music studio,
Oh, I
but
haven't.
it's very limited in the time that it's opened. It's open like maybe 4 to 6.
Oh.
Very limited and only a few days out the week. Again,
Hmm.
we're talking about money, we're talking about resources, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
But yeah, having larger conversations about places that our youth can go and opportunities to learn.
Right.
And then being where this is one thing that, so it's totally opposite. We did not rehearse this one, but it just popped in my mind. Let's start having a conversation about trade schools.
Oh yeah.
Let's start having more conversations about vocational schools.
Yes.
And don't get me wrong, because I'm very centered in education. I know you are as well, because both your sons are, one's in college and one has already graduated from college.
Yes.
But what about kids who aren't necessarily on that path?
Right.
Like, what are we doing with those kids?
No, and that's a great question. I know in the past month I've met with some of the builders and trade unions. Now, what they're really trying to work on right now is trying to get into the schools, and that's Stockton Unified School District and Maneca that I know of. I'm not going to quote the other districts. They may be having something in the works with them as well. But the trade unions are trying to get on in the districts so they can start recruiting kids to be in the carpenter, electrician, and these sorts of things. So they're really trying to work hard with the districts at this point to try to get on campus to build programs so we can funnel those kids that probably not on the path to go to college to get them more career ready, and that
right.
Yes. So
that should be a priority. I don't get it. I mean, I'm hoping that conversation is being furthered. But I was in a conversation one day and we were talking about how, you got through, you're an educator, you've been working this system for a long time. Mm-hmm. Get a 3.0. Oh, we're going to do an honor roll. Right. You get a 3.5. Oh, yeah, principal list. Right. 4.0. Oh, dean's list. Mm-hmm. But there are kids who really are working very hard to get that 2.0.
Right.
And we're not building them up.
Right.
We're not giving them that special recognition. Mm-hmm. So I call those missed opportunities.
Right.
I just think that we need to be more
and
creative.
If we get those type of programs in the educational system that they draw to, like a metal shop like we used to have. I learned how to weld in high school.
Yes.
Wood shop and things of that nature.
Bring back home economics.
Oh my God. I learned how to sew in the 6th grade with Marcus Foster. So I know you had similar experiences.
Right.
We grew up around the same time.
Right.
And not having those things in school now, not being able to get your permit, to drive and things like that. It's like
when my daughter told me that, I did not believe it.
Yeah.
I did not believe it.
Well, there's a few districts that still does it. I know
Stockton
doesn't.
Does Maneca?
Maneca does.
Oh, Maneca does. Okay.
You can get your permit there.
Okay.
I want to say that Lodi does too.
I know, and no.
When my son was at McNair, he got his. I don't know if they stopped, but I know when he was in Lodi, they were doing it. So. And
that's another hardship because for parents and families who actually have to pay, it's another hardship. Mm-hmm. I just told my daughter, just wait till you're 18. You'll be 18 soon and do what you got to do.
That's what a lot of parents do.
But I remember I got mine at 16. I was living my best life.
It really meant something.
It really, and to know that they have taken those out of the prerequisites or requirements is amazing.
Yeah. I mean, and to support the schools, I mean, because the state of California, we're still trying to get fully funded. You know, and because, we're working, way at a different level than a lot of other states as far as funding is concerned, and that's why we end up losing quality programs, because you got to say, what's the most important on my list? And then you start making cuts to some people, those things you're cutting is important on their list.
Absolutely.
And I think that's where you get in a catch-22, and that's why, from a board perspective, we really, try to press certain bills and things like that, and go down to Sacramento and do legislative walks and go talk to the congressman or senator, whoever we could talk to try to get certain bills pushed through. Because if that's the only way we're going to be able to get these type of programs, if we get the funding. So. And
I think also it's very important for families and community to also be involved in supporting that process as well.
That's a bigger piece.
Right. Because I'm telling you, my kids' school be like, Jesus, this woman is here like every day asking questions. I remember when they took cursive out of the not prerequisites. What is it? The not curriculum. What is it? The requirements.
Yeah.
So I was like, I remember, do you remember when we learned calligraphy?
Yes.
Many people are probably like, what the heck is that? Like, you learned calligraphy. That was a class.
Computers outsource all those skills.
Well, that's true too.
Unfortunately, right. I mean, my son had a teacher last year, a 6th grade teacher, gave them extra credit if they wrote their hard copies of their essays in cursive. So he would write 4-page essays in cursive, because they would get extra
Yeah.
credit for it. So I really appreciated her for that because she had some of that old school.
She was trying to
bring.
She was trying to hold on to that old school, which is good.
Roman numerals, things like that. She was.
Oh right.
Yeah, she was pushing that type of stuff still. So.
These kids wouldn't even know. My no.
Yeah.
I remember my daughter wrote her name and put little hearts and stuff. I was like, what is that? Like, don't you know how to write cursive? She was like, no.
Yeah.
Why should I? I can get an automatic iPad, Apple, whatever. Just like, what is going on?
I got high school kids right now that when you tell them to sign their name, they don't realize it's cursive. I said, no, it's in cursive. I'm going to write in cursive.
That is so. I just don't understand how that even took place. That was yeah. So another topic. We moving right along through this agenda. One of the things I I don't know, it just took me, maybe because I met your son in person through the AAU camp you had at Weston Ranch. Mm-hmm. It didn't dawn on me that it was two different sons. Right. And so I was like, wow, like you play football and then you come all the way? And then I was like, no, he is not doing that. And so I didn't realize that you also have a son currently in college. Mm-hmm. You have a son that just graduated from college.
Yes.
And I see you always at your kids' game, mm-hmm. on top of always being at the games for the junior Cougars and your AAU team. How the heck do you balance that? Inquiring minds want to know.
I will say the first way I'm able to do it is that I do have good kids. So, okay. So being that they don't right. They don't give me a lot of grief, in other areas, I'm able to kind of get around and do what I do on a daily basis.
That's huge.
Yeah, it is. I mean, they're good kids, and my older son, with him graduating college last December and coming back home and really, support me. He actually got his degree in sports management, so he's well tuned in this area. He's coming back home with a lot of energy. He's telling me like, Dad, I got the basketball stuff. You just push the paperwork. So he's really coming back and taking it by the horns. And I mean, his little training he does with kids, and a lot of it he does for free. He had parents telling him, you need to be charging. You can't be. I pay $100 a week over here for this other guy, and you're not even charging me.
Yeah.
So that kind of, and then he start getting a little money here and there, but I mean, for him, it's a lot like me. He just want to see kids in this community really, doing something positive. And he like I said, having him come back, having all the volunteers I have with the Junior Cougars organization, the volunteers with the Western Ranch Youth Foundation, it makes it easier for me to just, kind of help coordinate things.
Right.
You got a lot of good people working with you. It may seem like I'm doing, too much, but it's not as much as it seems. I have to be honest, and I have to give credit to all the great support I have, including my wife.
Yeah, absolutely. Please do that. Please do that. Don't ever not give her a shout out.
She does a lot.
Absolutely. But I think that that's true. I think that sometimes it's easier for people to talk about the issue and the problem but never come up with a solution, right. And or an effort to make change. And so having reliable people who you can trust to lead with love and respect for others is significant. It's big. And again, I just want to really highlight that as well, because this is something we need in our community if we want to see it to grow. I think our kids, a lot of our kids are crying out for help and mentorships. Yes. The other day I was talking about, do you remember, not the Boys and Girls Club, Big Brother, Big Sister? Mm-hmm. Scott, we don't have one anymore. Yeah. It's like crazy to think about these programs that were here for.
Big time programs.
Big time was a huge program. That was a huge loss. But people are looking for guidance and mentorships.
Right, and that's something that we have been planning to bring to the Boys and Girls Club is some good mentoring programs, some good family therapy programs. I know you do a lot of that stuff.
Oh, yes.
So I mean, that's something big for me. And like I said, in working in special ed for over 20 years, mental health is very important to me.
Yes.
being able to support people that's going through those trials and tribulations at times is really big for not just them but for everybody around them as well. So
Absolutely. So that's going to bring us to the last topic, which is mental health. I wanted to talk about Nadine Harris, who is the general, the California Surgeon General, and she said something very bold, but I was in my chair going, yes, yes, yes. She said something so bold, and it just went viral throughout the United States, and it's something like, I don't know. For me, I was just like, God, like somebody finally gets it. She spoke up, and she said she wants to see that all our youth are evaluated for trauma at 100%, which is very bold because, we just got through talking about
Yes.
money and cutting and balancing and where can we, how they say, how can we rob Peter to pay Paul? So we already discovered that and established that, and now this bold effort to really making our schools safer by providing those outlets that's needed. And as a therapist, I always tell people, like, it's really hard to have a conversation with a kid who is dealing with trauma for an hour.
Right.
And then putting them back in the same home that is still traumatized.
Yes.
Like, you have to have, like what you said, a wrap approach to treatment and holistic healing. You play sports, so I'm sure you follow LeBron's. Is it My Promise? I Promise School.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever have you really read on? I
all
mean,
the
like
services, yes, no, it's
rap. They have clothes classes. They have food pantries. They have parenting classes. They have therapy. They have sports. So many outlets, and I'm sure that many viewers are like, well, schools shouldn't be like social services, but
it should.
They should, because that's where, if you think about it, in a lot of cases, our kids spend more time at school than they do at home.
Yep.
So why not?
And I mean, it's right now. It's one of the biggest things on our campus. I know at Chavez, when I go to school every day, just the mental health aspect is really big, and the fact that they've really, transpiring into, that mental health, support that they're putting in these schools in Stockton is really big.
It's huge.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's a shout out for Stockton Unified School District. That, and I think that while other districts do provide that outlet, MSUSD, I worked in mental health for over 13 years. I know I don't talk numbers, but I just did. Ugh.
Right.
But I know that every school district has that component.
Yes.
But SUSD has the biggest component. I think that they have about 15, nearly 20 providers. Half of them are colleagues, so it's huge. One school also has a significant amount of therapists as well, but we need more.
Right.
Because again, we have to look at it's hard to deal with the one kid, but you go home and there's so many other factors that we haven't factored in.
Right.
I mean, being parents, we know that being a parent, your kids aren't born and then you get a book that says, okay, 101 ways to be a parent. Like, you kind of live and learn through trials and tribulations, and you figure it out, but there are parents who actually need support in that.
Yes.
And that's okay, because I'd rather be supporting the parents in parenting than supporting the parents when their kids get taken away.
Right. Yeah, we know there's a lot of that too.
And there's a lot of that too. That's a whole nother conversation. But any further thoughts about Miss Dr. Nadine Harris? I love her.
Well, I mean, I for me, it hits home because my baby son, his mom passed away from breast cancer.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I mean, so it's real in my household. So he has his bad days, and and like I said, and being able to have a therapist at school for him is big, and so the school understands the situation, and he has a plan put together with the therapist at school that, hey, if he needs to step out and take 5 minutes, that's what he needs to do. If he needs to come to my office and talk to get recalibrated and get back in there, that's what we need to do. But just having those resources on campus, like you said, and just those kids knowing that they can turn to these resources on campus is big.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I know for my son, once that was in place, I mean, he didn't hesitate when he was feeling, a certain kind of way, or they're on a topic where they're talking about moms in general or something, he would get emotional. And so the teacher, because she knows this and the whole team is wrapped around, his needs, the teacher able to notice, oh, I think he's getting to that state, get him out, let's get the therapist in. And like I said, and a lot of kids need this, and like I said, a lot of kids go unnoticed, and like I said, then that trauma just builds and builds. And
absolutely. And thank you for being extremely transparent about that, because a lot of times I think it's so stigmatized in a negative way, and so people don't want to acknowledge it. Right. But I think that people don't acknowledge it because they don't know how to talk about it. And if they don't know how to talk about it, then how do you deal with it?
Right.
But another element in that I wanted to incorporate as well is when we are identifying kids with trauma. A lot of times when you ask a kid, like, have you ever been traumatized? They'll say, oh, no.
I don't know what it is.
Like, trauma, what are you talking about? Right. But then you'll ask them, like, have you ever, seen anyone get hurt or injured? Yes. Have you ever lost a parent or a relative? Yes.
Right.
Has something caused you extreme stress? Yes. I was, living in poverty. I got removed from my parents. I've had 8 foster homes. So you just start digging and you're finding out that there is really a lot more than what people are seeing. And we just have to be honest about the state of our youth.
Yes.
And that's why our conversation was called The State of Our Youth. Right. We gotta start talking about the real. We gotta start talking about poverty. We gotta start talking about investing in communities.
Yes.
And a lot of times it's not, people will always kind of pinpoint certain elements of the community of being traumatized. When you think about it, it's everywhere.
It is.
It's indiscriminate.
And, and like you said earlier, we really need, the people of our community to join together and to fight these certain things that's disrupting the communities, to come together and support things like the Boys and Girls Club. If you see a post that, hey, we want the community to come out and give you input on something, feel free to come out and get that input. And I know in Western Ranch, it's a mindset amongst some of the community people that we're not. You guys always say you're gonna bring something out here. We're not gonna so that and
it's like an environmental trauma,
and rightfully so.
Yeah.
We've had the rug pulled out of our feet in Western Ranch a lot as far as being promised certain things and it never happens. And that was one thing that I said with the Boys and Girls Club, because I've been one of the community members that said those type of things before.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm gonna make sure this happens, and I give people every day, what the Boys and Girls Club gonna happen? What's going on? So I'm like, it's a process, but I promise you, if nothing else, this is going to happen. So.
And I think that a lot of times too that we are a breed of people just being humans, and we want it right now.
Yes.
Like we go to McDonald's, order that number 2, and 2 minutes later we got our food.
Exactly.
But in certain situations, it can't be that whole McDonald's theory.
Right.
It comes with commitment and dedication and consistency.
Yes.
So thank you for being consistent in that, because I remember we had conversations about youth services. I think it wasn't before you got elected. We were talking about that.
Yeah, it was right before it was before I got elected.
We were talking about this for years.
Yes.
So just the fact that the foundation is there is huge.
Yes.
It's really huge. And I really hope that people make that commitment to support in some way, a donation, time to find some donations.
Time is big. Time is big.
Yeah, you can't carry that on yourself. So
right.
I appreciate that.
And I appreciate everything you're doing too, Kim. I
Oh,
really do.
man. Tell people if the bottom of your shoes, if the soles aren't missing on the bottom of your shoes, you might want to try a little harder.
Exactly.
The struggle is real,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I see the light at the end of the tunnel, and we do appreciate you. And most importantly, thank you for the time that you put in for our youth, because they need it.
Yes.
We need mentors so bad. So if you can give a donation, take some time, go coach some kids.
Yes.
What's the easiest way to contact you?
209-271-8778. Same number for about 25 years. So.
Same number for 25 years. Okay. See, he's comfortable with talking about the age. I'm not.
Can't hide it.
Well, we appreciate you. It's
Thanks,
been a good hour or so on the air. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Kimberly Warmsley alongside Eric Duncan, Maneca Unified School District Vice Chair and